I'm going to go to old business. Resolution to certify the referendum petition. We've been asked by Mr. Hart. He wanted to have a presentation to the board. And so, Mr. Hart, is that not battery, Jeff?
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually charged it also.
Oh, okay.
That's got to turn on.
Test. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There you
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, trustees. Tom Hart, 2 Marinova Place.
These fades in and out.
Oh.
I can hear it.
Better?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Hart, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I want to yield my 3 minutes of time to Mr. Stephen Cutler.
Okay. Mr. Cutler.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I also wanted to speak tonight, but I'd rather yield my 3 minutes. If it's okay with you, Mr. Cutler, as well.
State your name for the record, please.
My apologies. Matt Callahan,
Thank you.
475 Metro Place, South Dublin, Ohio.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hagy.
Charles Hagy, 14097. I yield my 3 minutes, Mr. Cutler.
Okay. You got 12 minutes, Mr. Cutler. Hoorah. All right.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me all right? Trustees, everybody?
Can you hear back there?
You all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm here to present. I'm here on behalf of Steve Cutler, 94 North Sandusky Street, Delaware, Ohio. I'm a partner at the law firm Taft, Tinius and Hollister. Along with me is Joe Pickens, also a partner at Taft, and back in the day, a great quarterback. Look him up someday. But we're here on behalf of Mr. Charles Hagy and Pulty Homes. And we come to object to the petition filed, and I want to talk about those reasons. And I sent an email earlier today with a letter. Mr. Pickens, if you don't just make sure the trustees have it, basically that lays out.
The one that you emailed to the Township trustees this afternoon?
Correct.
I have it.
Okay.
You have it, Mr. Ford?
I read it, yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Would you like another copy, sir?
If you have a hard copy, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a million hard copies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, as you know, right at the township, this is a great community, right? You believe it or not, the township's the envy of Ohio. You got more jobs than residents. You got strong commercial tax base. That tax base supports schools, roads. You got low taxes. It's a great place to live, to work. And everyone believes in the right. Hey, this is America, right? People have a right to petition government, pass around petitions and get signatures. That's fine. But at the same time, it must be done properly. And it's got to be done in accordance with the law. And at the same time, the reason it must be done in accordance with the law is because it affects the private property rights of individuals. And so what we have here today, the petition that was filed by Mr. Evans, is flawed. It's misleading. It was circulated with false information and just typical big city slick tactics that were used to get this done. Now, as trustees, right? I know referendum's kind of a new thing here in Lincoln County and in this township, but as trustees, you all do have the authority to not certify it if you deem, based on the facts that we are prepared to present to you, based on the facts that it is improper, that the title of it, the petition language itself, the manner by which it was done, does not substantially comply. Strict compliance is what the law requires. Ohio Revised Code, look it up, 519.12H, right? It requires a strict compliance with the law. Again, the reason that does, again, they can't just sign anything and turn it in. It's because you're dealing with private property rights. So it has to be done in strict compliance with the law. Now, I want to go over a few of those things, some of those points, right? And again, a lot of this is detailed in the letter. And then the first part of the letter details your authority as trustees. Again, you are creatures of statute, creatures of the revised code. The revised code says that you have the authority, if you so be it, based on the face of this petition, to not certify it and therefore not send it to the Board of Elections. You have that authority. This petition is invalid for multiple reasons. Number one, the petition fails to satisfy the summary requirements of Revised Code 519.12H. It's insufficient for the following reason. It fails to accurately describe the property. The summary references in the resolution, the Exhibit A and B, were not included in each part petition when they were circulated. The summary neither describes the existing PRCD overlay zoning, nor accurately describes the PMUD. And in fact, you'll see with information that we'll provide you today, when the circulators were discussing the PMUD, they mischaracterized what a PMUD is. And lastly, the zoning text, again, the summary of the petition. The zoning text, it included a zoning text. Now again, it wasn't, we have evidence that it was not circulated with those zoning text or exhibits. But the zoning text references a development plan. There was no development plan. There's no development plan included in any of the stuff that was submitted to you guys. Number two, so number one, the summary requirement was not satisfied. Number one. Number two, there are discrepancies with the signatures obtained on the petition. Again, we've just been investigating this thing for about a week. Investigation is still going to go on. We got folks everywhere looking into this and talking to people. The information in the signature section, there's portions that appear to be pre-filled out. One of the petition circulators isn't even from Lincoln County. One of the signers of the petition is not even an Etna Township resident. Again, this is at least one. And we can spend a lot more time combing and finding more of these things. Lastly, there was significant misconduct and misinformation provided by the collectors during the signature collection process. And I want to go through some of those things with you tonight, if I may. Excuse me, if I may, Chairman. First thing we'd like to provide to you is all the Facebook posts. You want to grab those? We'll make this Exhibit 1. Hundreds, thousands of Facebook posts. Millions and millions of acres of pine trees to print all these out. Combed with misinformation, mischaracterization. And in fact, and this will bring you to the next point. And in fact, if you look at one of the first posts by one of the main circulators, Mr. Evans, with us here, on 9/16/20, right? He posted one of the original application, the picture, right? And it goes through about why this is bad and horrible and goes through all these things. Again, mischaracterizations, etc., false information. The second thing I'd like to show you is their website. Make that Exhibit 2. That's a snapshot of keepetnarural.com. That website, as of this morning, still has the original plan back from last August. That original plan is not what is adopted, was not what you all passed. And in fact, the original plan was completely different. And we're going to go through those differences real quickly. We've got information to go through it. I know I've got about 6 minutes. During the circulation process, during all the great speeches on Facebook and in the paper, everybody was told, go to this website for more information about this referendum, more information about this zoning. Okay, so let's go to the website. The website is false. The website is wrong. The very picture you can see there is from the old plan. Let's get the, let me find it, where's it? Yeah, this is the plan you all adopted. Again, that's part of the zoning text, and that was omitted not included, it's part of the zoning text, but in all the paperwork that was provided to you by Mr. Evans, he failed to include that map. Yeah, that'll be Exhibit 3. The next thing I'd like you to look at, before we do that, let's grab the affidavit real quick.
I don't think we're expecting to see that.
Hey,
So so again, false information on social media. False information on the website that everybody was pointed to for more information. Hey, learn what this is about. Go to this website. The website is false. Based on our initial investigation, we have one person, and we've got more that we're talking to. They're coming out of the woodwork calling it. Already, we've got an affidavit from a gentleman who signed the petition, who relied on the website, relied on the Facebook post, was told that this would include a skyscraper, an Empire State Building. This might include warehouses. No documentation was provided during this circulation. No maps, no zoning text, no Exhibit A, no Exhibit B. Hey, stop urban zoning. He relied on that and signed it. Once he learned the facts, he felt hoodwinked, fooled, tricked. Once he learned the facts about this. Again, he relied on all this false information that was done during the circulation. And this false information, you see, was not clarified on the petition itself. It led to the confusion. The next thing we want to provide you will make this will be
Exhibit 4.
correct. The next thing we'd like to show you is Exhibit 5. Exhibit 5 shows you the changes. Thank you. Exhibit 5 is a comparison. Again, Mr. Evans and the promoters of this referendum wanted the average person to think, hey, it's this plan from August of 2020. Heck, a lot's changed. I mean, Trump was president in 2020, right? He's not now. And guess what? The plan changed too. In fact, original plan, August, 365 lots. Now it's 276, almost 100 difference. Density, less. Setbacks, more. Access, limited to emergency vehicles only. More green space. I could go on and on. The differences are stark. When they were circulating this petition, there's a reason he did not include this map, supposedly. Now again, we have evidence that this was not included, nothing was included in the petitions. But they did not include this map because it is a contrast to the very thing they say is bad. The changes that were made are significant. What was adopted by this body last month, or in April, is significantly different than what was proposed last summer. And as a result, people were misled. The petition is misleading as to think that it was the old plan, when in reality, there's a new plan. But there's no reference to the new plan or the improvements. The last thing I'd like to enter as an exhibit is, this should be 6, is just another quick summary. Again, we're going to spend a lot of time, we can come through this thing forever and find more and more stuff, but just in a week, what we've been able to find. This is a summary of a lot of the misleading comments that were made during this process. Thank you. Now, I know I don't have, I'm limited here on just a couple more minutes, Mr. Chairman, and I... What's that?
Yeah, a minute.
1 minute, all right. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Oh,
In closing, oh, we're good, we're good. We're good, I got this. In conclusion, you all have the authority. And I can come up and answer any questions that come up, no problem. You all have the authority to not certify this to the Board of Elections. A petition, a referendum petition, requires strict compliance with the law. It cannot be misleading. It cannot be ambiguous. It must be very succinct exactly what was passed. So that way the average voter, the average signer of this petition knows exactly what it is they're signing. The evidence is clear. The average person does not know what they signed. The petition language is flawed, and I would say that you all have the authority to not certify it. If you do intend to actually certify it, that's your druthers, I would ask that you submit all this information to the Board of Elections with the objections noted.
Thank you, Mr. Cutler. Okay. Did you gentlemen want to speak?
No, I was just giving you more time, if you need more time to.
Don't we yield your tree?
Yeah, that's all you're
Okay,
looking at.
I appreciate it, thank you. Anyone else want to speak in regards to the referendum petition? Yes, ma'am. Come up to the microphone. Come up to the microphone. State your name for the record, please.
Colleen Rice. We've been through this before with Frontier Ranch, and you're well aware of it. And we heard all this stuff before. These not just man's done nothing wrong. This needs to go to the Board of Elections. They'll determine if the signatures are good or not. That's what they do. I walked all over this township with Frontier Ranch and didn't carry a map around with me of what was going to be built on Frontier Ranch. I'm not ever aware that that was a requirement, and you guys lost at the Ohio Supreme Court. So my suggestion would be, let this go to the Board of Elections and let them make the determination if something was done wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hart?
if I could take one of the yields of one of these gentlemen, I'd like to speak. Thank you.
Mr. Snyder, are you yielding?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Hart?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The facts of some other case, some other situation don't matter here. What matters is the right of referendum is an ancient, respected part of our legal system. It goes back to old England and old New England. It's a form of pure democracy. It's a powerful right. It's powerful. Property rights are at stake. The ability to question the legislative body's decision is in the law. But the standards, as Mr. Kuckler has said, are high. You got to follow the law strictly. You can't lie, misrepresent. You can't twist facts. You can't make up your own facts to get a referendum petition on the ballot. It's governed by the law, not what somebody makes up in their basement, not what somebody hopes and wishes. It's the rule of law. That's what separates us from lots of other forms of government. Mr. Kuckler's documented the flaws in this petition. People can get up and say whatever they want. The rule of law is what should govern the situation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak.
Mr. Evans?
Mark Evans, 91 Old North Church Road. Mr. Hart just talked about democracy, petitions, and all that. What we have here is attorneys for the developer, one landowner, trying to prevent everyone in the township having a vote over the zoning change. That's just wrong. We've had nonstop threats with this development, and now it's just more legal threats. If they're interested in democracy, let it go to the ballot. Let the people speak. You fight that, you're fighting the people, you're fighting democracy. You want rule over the people. That's wrong. The people have spoken with this petition, put it on the ballot, let everybody decide. You're deviating from the comprehensive plan. So if people like that, they'll vote one way. If they don't, they'll vote another. But let people speak. If you don't certify this and put it to the Board of Elections, where they'll go through the signatures, they'll go through the compliance, and I'm sure they'll go to the Supreme Court. And we're ready to defend it and defend the residents of this township against a developer and one landowner trying to force their views on the township. And that's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Yes, sir. State your name for the record.
Greg Zacher, 79 Trail East. Mr. Evans does not represent all the residents of Etna Township. And for myself and a bunch of other people I've been talking to, we welcome Pulty and this housing development, since these houses are going to be in the 300,000s. The last thing we want is apartments or duplexes coming in. And
Hold on. Ma'am,
so when he says,
That's
Hold
clearly
on.
incorrect. It's clearly incorrect.
you know what? You had your 3 minutes. Give them the same respect.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr.
no,
Evans.
that's okay. So when he says he represents the residents of Etna, that's not true. It's a small group. And I just want to thank you all for what you did.
Thank you, Mr. Zacher. Anyone else? Do you have any response?
Yeah, in closing, I would just say, a lot of talk about democracy today, but democracy requires following the law. Now, sometimes following the law is not sexy, right? You got political motivations or what have you, but the reality is, if you don't follow the law, we have chaos. We have the right to petition interacting with private property rights here. Therefore, the petition must be done perfectly and in strict compliance with the law. And if it's not done in strict compliance, it's not done properly. Again, this is not a GoFundMe page or some change.org where you're trying to change the school colors. This is a big deal, and therefore it must be done properly. Mr. Evans and the petitions and the referendum that he submitted was not done properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cutler.
Can I respond with a
No,
couple seconds?
I'm not going back and forth. When I get
You
your-
let him.
He's allowed to respond to anything else. You heard what he said. He didn't add anything to it. He's responding only to what was said.
I was going to
after him.
respond to what was said after me, too.
Go ahead. I would like to get your name, please.
Sure, it's Joe Pickens, Cass Centenius and Hollister. So
Joe Pickens, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Pickens. I'll allow you 1 minute to respond, Mr. Evans.
Okay, thank you. This was just on what was said after my.
I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
This is a response to Zach Hunter's comments, the husband of the zoning commission member.
Whoa.
Or I'm sorry, not Craig Zacher. I'm sorry, Craig Zacher, the husband of the zoning commission member, who is responsible for the postcard that was mailed out. I did not claim to represent everybody in Etna. What I'm saying is let the people of Etna decide this. We have had 604 people sign our petition. We could have got a lot more. That's a large portion of the voters in Etna. Again, let the voters decide. Thank you.
Okay. I was going to correct him because I have it written down here as Craig Zacher, not Zach Hunter.
It was
I just heard that and
it was a Facebook
Thank you.
confusion.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry I blurted that. My fault.
Anyone else? You have any questions?
Matt Stewart at the prosecutor's office, and for us to have an opportunity to speak with him about this.
The 14th is next Monday. Are you gonna be out of town? What about the 15th?
That's Tuesday?
You sure? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take a 5-minute recess. I want to call the prosecutor and discuss this with them.
Financial.
And then, I'll be back. Okay. Take a 5-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 6:40. Okay, we'll go back into session. We're back into session at 6:42. Thank you, Jeff. My brief conversation with legal counsel. The statute requires that the township trustees certify the petitions as long as they are legal on their face. We are not triers of fact, and we are not able and not prepared for conclusions of law. All we are is basically a mechanism to get it from the residents of the township to the Board of Elections. That's our function. With that, also we discussed the 14 days. There is a possibility that since they did present the petitions on May 25th, today is the 14th day. Without getting into the law, by us waiting, it could end up putting the township in a lawsuit. So with that said, I'm going to move Resolution 2106-0801, a resolution certifying the petition for a township zoning referendum to the Licking County Board of Elections is presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Mr. Cutler, I will forward all your exhibits under separate cover, township letterhead to the Board of Elections as you've requested.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Did I hit everything that you wanted to know?
Yeah.
Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Carlisle?
Yes.
Can you restate that resolution number, Mr. Chair?
2106-0801.
Thank you. Announcement, trustee comments. Mr. Johnson, do you have anything? No. Mr. Ford? No.
No need for an executive, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, correct, I guess. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Johnson moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Ford, second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Carlisle?
Yes, 6:46.
Good luck. Tell Corey Colombo I said, hey,
We'll do.
he and I went to law school together.
Oh, did you?
He's more expensive than me, man. Jeez.
What was your name again? Do you have a card?
I don't have any more.
the opportunity.
Young lady back there, my last one, Cutler, just tell him Cutler said that.
Cutler, all right, we'll do.
Doing the right thing.
Yeah, he's a good guy.